So this is going to be part 2 to Turning Point, TNA, 2024. Now, last video, I went through a lot of the matches. I left off on Steve Maclin versus Josh Alexander. Now, I was talking about the storyline going in here was that, Steve is mad at Josh because he's an asshole. That's basically what it is, right? Because Josh beat him up when in a match, and he put zip ties on him Anyway, Steve is angry at Josh, right? There's some other people involved in here because of the Northern Armory, but we're going to keep it sweet and simple, all right? And so it's a no DQ match, normal TNA no DQ match. What gets interesting in this match is that Steve, because Steve is angry. He's been beating the hell out of Josh Alexander. He finally got the pin on Josh. Because let me tell you, Josh, he can be a jerk, but he can walk the walk, he can talk the talk. He ain't got no problem whooping your ass. But in this instant, Steve Maclin had him beat. He had the 1, 2. And what does this man do? Yo, he lifts freaking Josh off of the mat so that they don't count to 3. And I'm thinking here, I'm like, that's the biggest mistake you could have ever done, my man. I know that Steve, and I think this was a red herring, because anytime anyone ever does this in a match, it always bites them in the end. They always get beat in the end. And so I was like, come on, Steve, you gonna do this? He gonna beat you again because you're too emotional. Good storyline, right? I'm invested, clearly. Anyway. And so they keep going because Josh comes and gets back up. He's not just going to be like, oh, you let me go. No, he got back up and he was like, you want to play? We're going to play. But then Maclin comes out with that black bag, the velvety black bag, the thumbtack bag. And I'm like, what's going to be in this bag? Because lately we've been gotten very, very creative. And it was bullet casings. Now, I know that sounds really random, but Steve Maclin, that is his gimmick. It's not his gimmick. It's actually who he really is. He's a veteran. And his gimmick is being a veteran. That's what it is. He's, I think it's, anyway, we'll talk about that later. But he's a veteran. That's his gimmick. And so, of course, he's going to bring bullet casings, right? Why not, right? Why not? And he goes and he hits the KIA onto Josh Alexander, onto those, bullet casings. And 1, 2, 3, Steve wins. I didn't think he was going to win after he lifted Josh Alexander's head off the mat when he already beat him. But you know what? This is like, I guess, a final way for us to finally close this chapter. Is it closed, though? I don't know, because him and Eric Young were arguing about it 2 weeks ago. But he finally beat Josh. So maybe we might be moving on from this feud into something new, or we could still do it with Eric Young and Nathan Gresham like we've been doing. But it just feels kind of done. That's just my opinion, because this is like their second match. The first one, Josh, and this isn't even talking about like a year or 2 ago when they already had their feud where Steve was the heel and Josh was the babyface, and then we gave them space and stuff, and now we're here. But I think if this is the end of the feud, it was a good way to end this feud. Josh was still strong. He's still strong. It took a lot to beat him, but Steve ended up beating him. And like I said, I'll tell you about his tagline in the bottom, okay? Because he's a veteran. It's slipping my mind, but I know it's like lock them, bag them, or something like that. It's just, I'm blanking right now for that. But regardless, Steve Maclin won that match, and I think good. Let's close it if it's closed. If not, I welcome it more. I welcome it more because I've been enjoying this feud very much so. Very much so. Great wrestling, okay? Anyway, after this, by the way, good on TNA. They showed a Chris Bay video. We know from what happened about, when Bound for Glory after that, when they had the tapings and he got hurt. And so, it was really almost career-ending injury from what the reports have said. And so they did a video. TNA did a whole, tribute video to him and, saying, I hope you get better. He has a very long recovery because it's a neck injury, but we all hope, every wrestling fan wishes him, good health and a speedy recovery. But good on you, TNA. That was very nice because, once they do the taping, it's already all taped and stuff, and things like that. But they did the video. That was very nice. That was very nice of them, And then this was just a mad-ass random match. I'm not going to lie, okay? We had Wentz, Kushida, and Matt Riddle. Yes, you heard me correctly. Versus the Hardys and Ace Austin, right? Now, I get why You have Wentz and Matt Riddle, because he was his shaman. Yes, I said it right. In NXT. So I get it. It was just a super random match because, it wasn't a heel versus heel. This was faces versus faces. And I'm like, cool. The TNA does this. I have no problem. Because most of the time their matches end up great, even if it's not even storyline related. They end up putting a lot of their talent in the ring and just having a great match. Just because, right? Now, like I said, look at the talent. This was a great match. I expected Miguel to be in here, but then I heard that he had traveling problems, so I got it. Kushida had to take that. And I'm guessing Matt Riddle is going to be that, third seat. Like, he's going to take Wesley's place in the treehouse. And I'm all for it because he's clearly, But at the end of the day, this is a really good match. Shocker of the night was that the Hardys and Ace Austin won. I'm so sorry. I know this is really weird, but how random is it to just have Matt Riddle come, debut at a PLE, and lose the match? Really random, right? And I don't even think he's going to be wrestling. I could be wrong. He could be a part of TNA. But I'm telling you, he's going to be in that treehouse. He is going to be so much in that treehouse, y'all. Oh, my God. Anyway, sorry. I just want to say I like this match. I know it was random as hell. It was a good match, okay? We could do some randomness sometimes. Now, we had Grace versus Masha. Now, I predicted Masha was going to win. This was a 2 out of 3 falls, by the way. 2 out of 3 falls match. I thought Masha was going to win. Why would you give her the title so soon? She just won against Alicia Edwards. Again, 2 weeks ago when I saw that Impact. She won against her in a no DQ match, right? And so I'm like, and I heard Grace was almost on her way out the door going to WWE. I was like, Masha gonna win. And they rebranded her. Come on. Anyway, and let's get into the match. The match was good. I'm just gonna go by falls, okay? Like I said, I'm not gonna go through every little detail because you had Masha and you had Grace, and they're both great. So this was gonna be a good match, right? Anyway. First of all, from the very beginning, both wrestlers hit each other with pile drivers. Masha got hit on the apron, and then Grace got hit on the floor. I was like, damn, we just gonna start it running, huh? We just gonna start running. But this is very interesting. I like the way they booked this, because when I tell you they were throwing stuff at each other, they didn't care. They said we want to win. But the first fall was by Jordynne Grace. And it was a roll-up. They were going back and forth, but it happened to be that Jordynne Grace got the 3, and she got the first fall. I thought that was very interesting because when I tell you, they were hitting each other. They are very hard strikers. And so I thought one of them was going to get a pin clean. Didn't turn out that way. And then let's go into the second fall. Right? Same thing. Going back and forth. It's really interesting because Masha keeps trying to put Jordynne Grace into like a sleeper hold, And don't get me wrong, Grace came in here with some of her own submissions against Masha, but Masha seems to be just trying to wear her down. And she was kind of desperate because she, if Grace got the second fall, Masha would lose. And so she was on her. She was on top of her, but so was Grace. Grace kept coming back with that power. Okay, with that power. But again, what got her was a roll-up. It was a roll-up. Masha rolled up Grace, 1, 2, 3. That was the second fall, right? The third fall was the shortest fall, and I'm going to tell you who won. It was a sequence strike. But at the end of the day, and Rosemary came out to watch too, but at the end of the day, Masha won that one. And she won it clean. There was no roll-up. There was nothing, no funny business. She got that 1, 2, 3. And she's still the champion. And her next challenger is Rosemary, which I knew. Because I had already predicted it was going to be either Steels or Rosemary. But good for Rosemary. This is going to be a good match for Masha. She knows Rosemary, Her and Rosemary has been through it in the tag division. So, I like this match. I'm going to give you another part. I will talk about the last match, the main event.